Welcome to Transitions. I'm your host, Antoinette Zloty. Today we will be looking at the topic of shoes on our feet. I will start with one of our guests who will talk about her stories and some of her really funny stories from the past with shoes. And then we will talk about shoes and our feet, and we'll be joined by a podiatrist and a physiotherapist. And lastly, I have this delightful young man of 8 years with his mom who will talk about a charity that they're developing. So I'll turn over here to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, thank you for joining me today on the show.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Can you tell us a little bit about your early experiences with shoes and how that grew into a passion?
Well, my early experiences about shoes is this. While I was a little girl, I didn't really have much interest when it comes to shoes. But one thing I knew my mom would do is whenever she goes to the store, she would pick something when it comes to shoes for me and my siblings. And by the time I fit it in, looking at my siblings, we're all wearing the same kind of shoes, I get all excited. I want to show all my friends. So when I started growing up in school, we were asked to put on shoes. If we don't have some particular kind of shoes or you're not wearing shoes to school, then they send you home. Like they want you to be in shoe because they feel it makes you complete. So as I was growing up, going out with friends and stuff like that, my shoes, the kind of shoes I put on, it really, really matters. So right now, as a model, because I took the modeling program and I do hair, I do makeup. At the end of the day, if I don't have shoe, like the one I'm wearing and some of the ones I have in my bag,
Right? Yeah.
I don't feel complete.
Is that right?
If I'm going for
so
runway,
you're very passionate about
yeah.
shoes.
If
then.
I'm going for runway, I love to be on shoes. Like today, I went for a modeling agency. The first thing they asked me was shoe. And I was so excited because I had one in my bag. I had one that I was already wearing, so I was like, you guys should pick whichever one you want me to use. They were like, fine, you're good with the one you have. So I love shoes. Like, it's part of me. I love to wear them all the time.
Well, I wonder if then your early childhood experience with shoes and your mom being so loving and caring towards you and the other kids, whether that sort of transferred into your love of shoes, because it's obviously a really good association. And I actually love shoes myself too. And I'm at a different stage in life than you are, but at this point, I don't think that I can really get by in the shoes that like what you're wearing. But I remember back in the 70s, my shoe heels were like this, and actually platform shoes right across. So right away you're a few inches taller, and I think we kind of enjoyed that. But you were telling me earlier about a pair of shoes that you once saw, and you just love them so much, and you wanted to fit your feet into them so badly.
Yeah.
Did you kind of shed a tear?
I did, because we were actually planning for a particular outing. So I already have the dress and I have my hair done with the makeup. So what was remaining to complete the whole thing was shoe.
Aww.
Then we had to go to the store. I saw the shoe, I fit my leg, but it didn't go inside. Aww. So I felt so bad. But my friends didn't help me because they were like laughing at me. They were like, wow, next time, better try next time. I was like, well, let's just go and I'll just maybe try another kind of shoe.
Yeah.
Like, I really love shoe. I really love shoe. If I had that particular shoe I wanted, then it fits the image or the picture I want.
Yes. So it's interesting because I think that people who are younger seem to have a lot of passion for shoes, and then it seems to me as we get older, our passion changes a little bit because we may have to spend a little bit more on the shoe or on insoles and so on. So then we start to narrow it down a bit and have fewer. But I did check online about the average number of shoes that people have, and it said about 19 pairs is the average number.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't have shoes to
Yeah.
walk, with and to wear, which is really unfortunate in the world.
Yeah.
So, how about you? How many pairs
I
would
have
you
up
say?
to 30 in my
About
closet, and
30
I'm still counting.
30 pairs
Yeah.
or 30 shoes?
30 shoes, and I'm still counting
Oh,
because I
30.
know I'm not done shopping for
shopping
shoes.
for shoes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So do you recycle them too, and like pass them on to people who
Yes,
maybe need?
I do recycle, but one thing about me is, to be honest with you, I'm selfish when it comes to shoes.
Shoes. Oh,
Especially if I love them.
so you hang on to them
Yeah.
for a long time. We'll have to talk some more about this, but for now, I guess we'll be having you back on the show a little bit later in
Okay.
this episode. But
Okay.
thank you for sharing your passion with us.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me on the show to tell you about my passion for shoe.
Well, that's great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Welcome back to Transitions. I have with me today, and then this part of the show, two fellows here, actually Landon and Ron. And Landon is a podiatrist, and Ron is a physiotherapist. And as you can see, we have some interesting things here that they'll tell us a little bit about.
So thank you, Antoinette, for having me on the show, having us on the show.
Much appreciated.
And we thought we'd talk a little bit about why the shoe manufacturers like to make different types of shoes. There's so many different types of runners on the market, and one of the reasons is because different people have different types of feet.
Oh.
So there are people with very, very high arch feet, and there are people with very low arches to their feet, and the manufacturers have taken that into consideration. Someone that has a very high arch foot, the foot tends to be very rigid. It's not very flexible. It's not a mobile foot, and it acts very much like we call it a rigid lever when we propel ourselves forward when we're walking. So because of that, the shoe manufacturers have made shoes that are very cushioned. There's a lot of softness to the bottom of the shoe. They make it very soft. And then there are other shoes that for people who roll in a lot or very flat-footed. When we walk, we actually hit on the outside corner of our foot, and then we roll through toward the inside. So we start on the outside of the heel, and we push off the big toe. And as a result, there is the manufacturers make shoes that are softer on the outside where we hit, and then really rigid, very solid on the inside to control the foot from rolling in a lot. And then there are shoes that are in between. There's shoes that have less of those features. Some are just not as controlling for the average foot.
And many of us really don't even think about that, about how we walk and so on, until maybe we have to see one of you guys, and then you
Yes.
educate us a little bit,
Yeah, we. I know myself personally. We get a wide variety of ages, from little kids to adults and little old ladies and walkers just strolling down the street.
Yeah.
And we always get, what type of shoe should I wear? What should I do with this? What should I do with this? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like kids are always a little bit difficult. There's a lot of studies out there that say, yes, get them into a very supportive footwear if they're really flat foot. But then you have to deal with, have their growth plates come in, and so there's a lot of debate there, so I won't touch too much onto that. But yes, when we're definitely younger, we're out there, we're running around, we're playing a lot in bare feet, and that's fine. Unfortunately, we get a little bit older, things start to stiffen up on us, things get a little bit tougher to do, our muscles tighten up in our legs and our back. So what we used to be able to do when we were 12, not necessarily when we get to 20, then 30, then every kind of milestone, it gets a little bit different. And our feet constantly change throughout the process as well. So even things like if people start gaining weight, you'll have some issues such as kind of pregnancy or anything like that. that'll change the shape of your foot. There's also multiple diseases and health issues that could change the shape and style of your foot. And then that really comes down to, again, style of footwear. So as far as it goes, one big style in houses right now are hardwood floors. So therefore, people are taking off their shoes when they get in their house, and they're walking on a lot of really, really hard surfaces. Sometimes that's a little difficult on their feet. So in cases like that, you might want to just try to get some indoor footwear, sandal, slipper, anything like that. Just a little bit of extra cushion, which will kind of help you out if you're having some aches and pains. And as far as the other type of footwear goes, yes, there's running shoes, there's like skateboarding shoes that I have on, there's even your stilettos. So there's a lot of different styles of footwear. Sometimes they work for people, and unfortunately sometimes it doesn't. Now, if you can find your footwear that you like, or something that's fairly comfortable, but it's still not to that extent you need, that's where orthotic devices could come into play. There is tons and tons of over-the-counter orthotics. For the most part, they are great. I find a lot of the over-the-counter orthotics are one size fits most. So that would be kind of these three right here. This generic, this is just a good EVA base, a lot of cushion, a lot of comfort. This is kind of minimal support. Again, then you get a little bit harder support, and then you have something where you can get into a custom-made orthotic. Now we can, with the custom-made ones, we write the prescription up. We can go different shell materials if we're going with a harder one for a higher arched foot, or something semi-flexible. So we have a wide range incorporated with the wide range of shoes that people could possibly do, because feet are so different. Everyone has a different type of foot, and there's multiple products out there to help kind of everyone out.
Well, speaking as a person who has gone through having to have some orthotics made for me, and given the fact that I like to wear stylish shoes, I'm glad that orthotics now are moving towards sort of like the half orthotics, so that we can still fit them into stylish, fashionable pair of shoes, and then be very comfortable.
For women's footwear, for sure. We need to be able to manufacture orthotics that can easily be placed into a nicer dress,
smaller toe box.
So we can take an orthotic and cut it way back to be able to fit into a women's shoe.
I'm very glad about that.
Even some pumps, believe it or not. We always wonder why people would want to put orthotics into a high-heeled shoe, but it's actually possible to do that. You can. So if someone has a problem with their foot, you can actually get some relief even with a pump on.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that I am definitely going to look a little bit differently at the runners that are out there to make sure that they're the right ones for me. And I've been trying to be a good girl and wear my orthotics, and I'm a firm believer in doing the right thing. So I'm glad that we have guys like you guys out there, and girls and women who are working in this field to help us stay healthy, because our feet are very important for mobility.
We put a lot of miles on them.
And up next, actually, I have a really interesting young man and his mother who are going to talk to us further, and I'll have you back later on.
Great, I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So welcome back to Transitions. I have here with me Queen TD and also her son, Ionijah.
Hi.
I've learned your name just recently, and I'm so happy that I'm able to have you here with me on the show.
Thank you for having us.
So we're talking about shoes and feet. And Ionijah, tell me about your situation and how you got involved in starting a charity with your mom.
Well, I was like really just having a prosthetic, being born with a little leg.
Talk clearly, Aya.
I was born with a leg shorter than the other, and I get more prosthetics every time. So my mom thought of starting a charity. We each agreed. It helped and we kept getting new prosthetics. And that's how I started.
So you've given away some prosthetics that you've outgrown?
Yes.
Hmm. And these are kids who are living in Canada or
All over the world.
all over the world? That's wonderful. I think that that's a great idea. So what's the name of your charity that you've started?
PFFD, that stands for Prosthetics for Foreign Donation.
Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So you were telling me, Queen Titi, about the experience that you had in a marketplace
Yes.
when Ionija was just a littler lad than he
Yes,
is now.
just
so
a
can
wee
you
one.
tell us about that? What you saw?
Absolutely. So we went to Jamaica for a few weeks, and we were going to the market to just do a little bit of shopping, and we met a double leg amputee who had no prosthetics, no limbs. He was on a skateboard, and Aya at the time was taller than him. And at 4 years old, being taller than a man in his 30s, Aya was just very puzzled and asked the man where his prosthetics were. And the man began to explain that he couldn't afford prosthetics. And it obviously bothered us that, you know, Ionija, being born in Canada, we definitely have the advantage of having access to prosthetics. And he didn't have that. And at the time, Ionija offered him 2 of his old prosthetics that he was like, you can have 2 of my prosthetics so you can stand tall. So
That's so sweet.
we all started crying in the market, and it was a really beautiful moment. But that is the moment that birthed PFFD, because I realized in that moment, if my son was willing to donate some of his old prosthetics, what if we can get other amputees to donate some maybe adult prosthetics, crutches, wheelchairs, walkers, anything to do with mobility that could help that man potentially stand tall or, you know, have different advantages. And this is really how that all birthed, was just on vacation, and it's planted a seed of the gift of mobility. So now we give the gift of mobility, which we say is wrapped with independence and a renewed sense of dignity, and that's what we want to give to people who don't have advantages to having prosthetics. So in redeveloping countries all over the world.
And in order to get them there, you have some next steps in terms of setting up your charity?
Yes.
Because you're not able to give receipts
Yes.
yet to people who will donate to help you, right?
Absolutely.
But,
Because we're just in our humble beginnings.
Yeah,
So,
so-
just in our humble beginnings, yeah, we're definitely, first we had to work on getting some
Getting-
of the donations.
yeah.
So amputees, people with physical disabilities all over Canada have been really supportive and sending us their old wheelchairs and things like that. And then the next step now is just building the board, getting more community support and getting more people on the team, because technically it's a 2-man team right now. We are definitely proud to be a 2-man team, but we'd love to make it a 5 and 10-man team and get this board going so we can get these donations in and get these mobility aids to people who really need them. You
And
know?
this is just a little selection
This
here,
is
isn't
a-
it?
this is a
Because you have
sample.
a whole lot more that have been donated.
Yes.
And you're keeping them at your place. So,
Yes.
Ionija, tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very important, where would you see this organization that you and your mom have started? What importance from 1 to 10?
10.
10. Very good.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
It's very
because,
important.
You know, it's, and tell me, why is it important?
Because prosthetics, so there's a lot of people in the world that have prosthetics, and some don't. Some people have outgrown their prosthetics and they don't have enough money to afford prosthetics. So it's very important to help give them prosthetics.
That's great because that's a gift of mobility too, isn't it? That they can get around and get around with dignity.
And without your prosthetic, it's not a shoe, but it's kind of like a shoe. You put it on before you leave the house, and that gives you mobility so you can walk and go everywhere you want. So it's a part of it.
And it's a part of you, isn't it? Like, this is really important to you, and you're getting mobility, and we hope that in school systems we can see more support for kids who have to use mobility aids to
Yes.
get around as well, because we know that attitudes need to be improved out there, don't we?
Yes, and get the word out.
And I think that it's great, and I'm just so happy that you guys were able to come in and talk about your effort to get this charity really off and going.
Well,
And I
thank
wish you
you.
all the luck.
Thank
and
you
I
so
hope that
much.
it all works out for you. And congratulations to you, young man.
Thank you.
We appreciate you having us here. We are definitely honored to be a part of the show, and yeah, thank you for your support.
Oh, you're very welcome. Welcome back to Transitions. We have our whole group together, a group of us who are talking about shoes on our feet. And we love our feet, and we want to do the best we can. So why don't we chat a little bit about what cost? We were talking at the break a bit about that. What are some of the challenges that people are facing out there?
Well, I know for Aya, he needs a lot of support, like ankle support specifically in his shoes. So I've never bought a shoe that was less than $100 for him ever. That's just the range for him. I wish he could wear some $20 shoes, but they don't give him the support that he needs. So things like that, especially for people with physical disabilities, they're already marginalized, and then they're paying the most for shoes. It's a crime.
So
Yeah.
you'd like to see some of those costs stay down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because of the choices that are
Absolutely.
out there.
Or some more options.
Yeah, and how about you? Do you feel that what's on the market right now are enough for you? Are you?
Not really. Some shoes could be better, but there's a lot of shoes that are under 100, but they're not good.
Oh, they're not good. So shoes that are under 100 tend to
Yeah,
not
not
be as
always
good, eh? What's
If
been
people,
your
it seems that if
experiences?
people have any problems with their feet, they have to go with a better quality, better made shoe. It's better materials, better leathers, better better foams, etc. And it requires a lot more investment than just a cheap shoe that you can buy for a few dollars. People need to spend a lot of money on those better quality shoes.
Even a lot of the well-made shoes, like it's really, you should really be kind of changing your shoes every year anyways, because just the amount of impact and all the walking you do on your feet, and if it's your kind of everyday shoe, then that's getting changed about once a year. And yeah, if you're looking into the prices of $100, $150 a shoe, you got to kind of budget that accordingly. And now that kind of makes your options a little bit smaller. And then yes, if you do have somebody that has a little bit of a disability or mobility issues, that's just making it smaller. Then eventually, you really only have 3 pairs of shoes that you can kind of go to and trust, and hopefully that manufacturer continues making that same brand, because I've met a lot of patients that they just stop making those brands anyways, so, and then they're kind of SOL.
But it's not such a good idea to buy too many, because I know some people who they'll find one type of shoe that they like, and then they want to buy a whole bunch to get in on the bargain.
But if you're
Because your feet are going to be changing, right, as you
Very true.
age,
But if
or
you're a kid
if you
in
have an
school,
injury.
if you're a kid in school, you need your athletic shoes, you need your shoes that are a little bit more dressy or weekend. I mean, people need more than often one pair of shoes, and if if you have to spend a lot on your shoes, it takes a real impact on people's lives.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
And
Like
even with
me,
Aya,
because-
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like me, because I love shoes so much. At some point, I get so attached to it, to the point where I start outgrowing the shoe. I don't want to give it out, but I have to give it out. So that it will now make me to, before I give it out, I want a replacement. Because it's expensive, I have to wait
Oh, I
before
see.
buying
Or in your
another
case,
shoe.
get rid of one and
Yes.
replace it with 2.
Well, I
So
don't
the
know.
cost of shoes is really important.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was younger in Barbados, we had to wear black leather shoes and white socks with our navy uniform and our white blouses, and I love those shoes. And they're leather. Like the first shoes were really actually made of leather. So and you had to use them for everything. But yeah, the costs have gone up quite a bit in terms of what's available to us for all of us.
Even with Aya, every time we buy like a rain boot or a winter boot has to actually be tailored. We have to either get it cut, so then that's also an extra cost too, is to have it so it can fit
The right
underneath
size.
the foot.
Oh,
Right
I
So
see.
most winter boots come up here, so we have to get it cut and just tailored and just kind of that material taken out and things like that to just adapt it a little bit. So those are also factors and just things you have to think about. I definitely am looking for a tailor. No.
You know, she's amazing. I think that you and your son are both amazing
Thank
because you
you.
have challenges, but yet you are still helping other people who
Yes.
also are facing different kinds of challenges. And
We're blessed, though.
I
We
wish you,
truly are.
I wish you all the best,
Thank you.
and also everyone here continue to enjoy. Working with people in their feet, continue shopping. Okay, so thanks to all of you for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Thank you.
you for having us on the show.